Welcome to the third and final part of my detailed Path of Exile Righteous Fire Juggernaut leveling guide. If you've missed the first two parts explaining the start of this leveling journey and some of the basics we won't stop on today, please do yourself a favor, find those videos on my channel and watch them first, rather than simply copy my path of building import string and then complain that something doesn't make sense or some details are missing. This video guide is supposed to hold your hand, not the path of building. Thank you. We will pick up where we left off in part number 2, killing the giant spider Arakali at the end of Act 7 and now starting Act 8 around City of Sun ramparts. Yet again, making our way into the city, picking up new quests and heading into the sewers yet again, but through a different side entrance where we will need to find and kill Doedri. After we kill Doedri, we will enter Grand Promenade and keep going basically until we find the entrance to the bathhouse, which is an important hub of its own, where first of all you can find the optional objective of Wings of Vastiri for Hagen's side quest, and the exits to the gardens area for another optional objective of killing Yugul, and the exit leading you to Lunaris Concourse and the other quest objectives of this act. Notable side quests here are killing Yugul and trying to resurrect Tolman in the Key at the request of Clarissa. Do not skip those quests. The ultimate goal of this act is to make your way into Lunaris Temple to get the Moon Orb from the final mini-boss there, and then find Solaris Temple and get the Sun Orb. Once you have both orbs, you will be directed to the Harbor Bridge, where you should be able to use both orbs to summon goddesses Lunaris and Solaris. When you've done that, you will fight them, kill them, and enter an already familiar but slightly changed area of Blood Aqueduct. Don't forget that you've released God Kitava in the previous part, and he's eating stuff up somewhere, so blood is flowing. Yep, it's rather grim. The first city of this act is Highgate, but you will not stay there for long, and you will exit it and descend from the mountains into the Vastiri Desert, which is a rather ginormous area, kind of a desert, yep, it's in the name, with a bunch of quests such as retrieving the Stormblade and finding and killing a massive scorpion Shakari. Needless to say by now, if you've been watching the previous parts of this guide, just do all quests, even those marked as optional. They usually give you skill points or skill refund points, equally as important, and skipping those in Path of Exile is just silly, and I wish the developers would update the game to make those not optional, because it is misleading for new players. You should be around level 68 by now, yeah, and I encourage you very much so to do the Emperor's Labyrinth for the third time. Merciless Labyrinth, merciless difficulty, and decide what you want to do. Do you want to be more mobile? Maybe you feel tough enough by now? Then take Unstoppable node. Or do you want to keep tanking up, so to speak? Then pick Unrelenting or Unbreakable. At this stage, I went with Toughening Up route and didn't have a good body armor yet with high armor value, so Unrelenting was more appealing to me as a node at this point. But if you have a good, really good body armor with very high armor value as your primary decision-making point here, you could take Unbreakable. Following through the quest line of this act, you will go through the tunnel into the quarry, do another side quest there to find and kill Kira, and eventually you will descend again into the bowels of the beast, where you will find and fight the Deprived Trinity, which is basically a boss combining the powers of 3 key bosses that you have already beaten before in the game. There is nothing hard or particularly notable about this fight, especially for this really tough build. I'm fast forwarding here a little bit, as the final act, Act 10, is just a little bit more of the same, slightly different storyline, slightly different quests, tying up some loose ends, and ultimately sending you to find the Staff of Purity, among other side objectives that you should still do. Staff of Purity will unblock your way to the final boss, to the god Kitava. You will reach him, you will kill him, this time for good. Upon killing him, there will be a portal taking you back to town and a boat taking you to Karui Shores area, where the base of operations for the end game and Atlas exploration is located. Just speak with Commander Kirak and things will be very clear to you. At this point, my friend, you should have a bunch of maps that should have been dropping for you from about level 68 as you've been progressing through the campaign. Just pretty much from anywhere they could have been dropping, you should have a handful at least. These maps will be used in Atlas mapping device. You load them up into specific, basically clickable element there. It will open portals, you go in, kill stuff inside, come out, rinse and repeat. Atlas of Worlds will be introduced to you by the Commander Kirak as the end game progression thing. You will be obtaining skill points for this Atlas of Worlds primarily by completing the objectives and killing the end boss of unique new maps that you will find. So you discover a new map, you do it, you should be given a new skill point to put it into the Atlas of Worlds. That's how you explore it. It's kind of like a talent tree again, and I will not go into the most optimal build here, but it's a bit of choose your own adventure. Kind of by now you should have decided which part of the game and which part of the encounters you have been enjoying so far the most and which ones you have been largely disliking. So your choices in the Atlas tree are largely affecting what kind of content will be offered to you in the end game. So like if you enjoy and want more of heist or syndicate encounters, or maybe you want to do more Einhar hunting together, or maybe Thane with his metamorphosis, you get my idea. Well, this is where you can make choices in the Atlas tree that increase the probability of the end game maps giving you those experiences. Things to keep in mind now as a final vector and direction and to focus on in the end game until you work it out for yourself a little bit better than I can explain to you now. Keep your resistances, elemental resistances, maxed out. Somewhere around 100 at the very least, because some things might reduce your resistances. You always want to stay above your maximum cap. Your maximum cap should be raised to about 78 to 80%, up from 75 default. This is to start the low to mid, I suppose, Atlas mapping with no major issues up to tier 6, 7, perhaps even 8. Look for gear pieces with high armor, plus maximum life, plus life regen, plus damage over time, and plus fire damage. Do not forget that plus spell damage does not affect Righteous Fire. Only burning damage plus fire damage or damage over time does. Final pointer, remember that my mission creating this guide was to hold your hand on your way from level 1 to level that would allow you to comfortably start the end game, with almost no expectations or any particular gearing, only relying on the most basic 4 linked gem socket items. Yellow gear, nothing special like I said, and only a handful of core skills and auras. I sincerely believe and hope that you agree that I have achieved that. Check out the final build screenshot linked in the description of the video. I had to minimize the size of it, so you may need to zoom in if you don't have path of building tool, such as in the situations where you play on the console. Download path of building if you are on PC. Make your life much easier. If you don't know how to use path of building or where to download it from, yada yada, please look out for my video that has not been released yet at the moment of recording of this final part, but I will release it shortly, on how to use path of building for beginners. Do not expect my path of building ever to be as pro and detailed as some other creators bother putting their efforts into. I have put efforts into putting together and reading up this narrative, not typing up stuff and basically expecting you to pop in for 10 seconds into my video, copy paste POB into your tool and be gone. This is not why I have a YouTube channel, mate, with all due respect. Like the video? Well, give it a like, that's the least you can do to say thanks, right? Want more of the same and to stay tuned for my plans for the next season and the Path of Exile 2, of course I'll be playing those. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.